Given their physical immaturity, weight for age essentially provides a weight allowance to younger horses so that they can compete equally with fully mature horses over various distances at different times of the year. It sounds simple enough, right? But let's take a closer look.
A thoroughbred is, I suppose, no different to a human in the sense that a young teenager of 13 and 14 really grows into adulthood and really is fully grown and fully matured at 21 years of age. I think it's much the same in the thoroughbred. Thoroughbreds are fully matured at 4 years of age. They come into training as yearlings. Most of them have just turned 2 or haven't turned 2 yet. We start racing them generally when they're halfway through their 2-year-old career. Certainly the precocious ones start about then. And then they're fully matured, considered fully matured adult horses at 4 years of age. So you've got this period from when they enter training to the period in which they're fully matured of about 18 months.
So how does the weight for age scale compensate for immaturity in young thoroughbreds?
The weight for age scale was designed to give an allowance to each horse in each month that they compete until they reach full maturity at 4 years of age, and they give them a weight allowance when they compete against horses that are 4 years and older. That's why the weight for age scale was designed. Obviously it would be unfair. We wouldn't put a 14-year-old boy to play under 18 rugby or under 18 cricket. It would be the same with the racehorse, but racehorses 2-year-olds can even compete against 4-year-olds in a race. From April, a 2-year-old can race in open company. But most 2-year-olds, once they turn 3, that's when really they start racing against their older counterparts.
What is weight for age designed for?
The weight for age scale is designed to allocate a set amount of weight on a monthly basis based on the immaturity of the horse. So over a full year period, a 1,000-meter horse will be given 14 pounds allowance. That's the amount of weight for age allowance due to immaturity of the animal he's expected to make over the year period. From August of his 3-year-old career, when all horses change their birth date from 2 to 3 in the southern hemisphere, so from August right through to the end of July, he's expected to make 14 pound improvement over 1,000 meters. Over 1,600 meters, it's 20 pound.
So how quickly does a 3-year-old mature in that 12-month period in its 3-year-old racing career?
First 6 months of the 3-year-old career, a horse will lose about 55% of his weight for age allowance from August through to the end of January, and the balance through from February through to the end of July. That's really how the weight for age scale is designed.
It's important to understand that a length has different weight equivalent over different distances.
A horse gets less allowance over the shorter distances as opposed to the longer distances where a horse is given a greater allowance, weight for age allowance, because of his maturity.
That makes sense as it becomes more difficult to carry weight the further the distance.
It's harder for a young horse to run 2,000 meters than it is because he isn't fully matured yet.
Carrying a water bucket once around the block may be fine, but the second lap will tax your muscles and slow you down.
2,000 and 2,400 meters is reaching the maximum extent that horses race over in terms of distances in the thoroughbred world. 1,000 to 12 furlong, those are where all the top races. You do get these ultra marathons over more greater distances, but they're far and few between worldwide.
It may sound strange that the performance of a horse weighing 500 kilograms, who carries a jockey and a saddle weighing some 50 kilograms, can be influenced by changing the weight carried in the saddle by a single kilo. This is because the spine of a horse acts in unison with its stomach muscles, creating what is a bow and string effect. Stomach muscles affect the stride. More pressure on the bow asks for more effort by the horse to stride freely. A little extra weight goes a long way to make things more difficult.
And so the younger horses are given more allowance the longer the distance, and it's because it's a tougher race, and that's why they allow more of that allowance.
What does the weight for age improvement look like in lengths over various distances?
Over the lifespan of his 3-year-old, those 12 months, from August to the following July, he's supposed to make 14 pound improvements over 1,000 meters. That would equate to about 5 lengths. Okay. Over 1,600 meters, a middle distance, a horse would be expected to make about 9 lengths improvement because he's still immature running over a further distance. And over 2,400 meters, horse would be expected to make about 14 lengths improvement. And that's all because of the drag effect of weight. Obviously over 1,000 meters, weight has less effect on performance compared to running over 2,400 meters. And I think that's really why you've got that difference in lengths over the different distances.
Why do we work in pounds when the metric system today is internationally recognized?
Well, let's think about it. One pound, half a kg actually doesn't equal 1 pound. It equals slightly more than 1 pound, but it's easier to assess them based on points. So horses are allocated 14 points, which is 14 pounds, or 7 kgs. It's just rounded off. It's not exact. It's just a round off measurement, and it's basically half kilos or pounds, But I think it's just easier for people to understand it in units of one rather than half units.
What advice would you have for punters?
Well, the race card and computer form normally depict at the top of the page what the weight for age allowance is over each and every distance. So that, let's say we come to September and a horse has won a race as a 2-year-old, and you've got this 3-year-old now that's got a gross rating of, let's say, 84.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's running over 1,200 meters, and he would be given, I think it's a 16-pound allowance. So his net rating, in fact, the punters must work out that the handicapper expects him, when he's fully matured, when he reaches 4 years of age, based on his current form, to reach an 84. But because of his immaturity, racing against an older horse, he's given a 16-pound allowance. So he's actually racing off a 68 rating. He will carry the same weight as an older horse. An older horse carrying with a rating of 68, and a younger horse with a rating of 68 will have the same weight. But in the race card, it might be confusing to punters, because I said 3-year-old, how come he's rated 84? He's carrying the same weight as a 4-year-old who's rated 68. Well, in fact, it's his gross rating that's included the allowance that the weight for age scale gives that 3-year-old due to lack of maturity. But at this point in time, they're supposedly equal because he's given that weight for age allowance. But in the handicapper's eyes, he believes that the 3-year-old is ultimately going to be a better horse than the 4-year-old because his gross rating is an 84.
But do all horses make that expected improvement?
Only about 8 to 10% of the horses make the weight for age scale, or improve at the rate at which the weight for age scale suggests they should do.
So what does that mean?
It's flawed for the average horse. There's no doubt. The top horses, the 1 or 2%, make greater improvement in the weight for age scale. The average horses will not improve at the rate at which the weight for age scale says they should. And that's why you'll often find 3-year-olds in August and September in open company, they manage to do quite well because they've given quite a large allowance. But suddenly, when October, November, December comes, I find you've got that little lull period where they don't compete as well against the hard-knocking older horses because the weight for age scale is starting to reduce already, and they're not quite making that improvement at that point in time. And then from February, they're a lot more mature. They're now 3.5. The handicappers also often reassess them. If they're not racing quite to that weight for age scale, the handicapper is supposed to address that and drop their rating. The problem with that is that they're also losing an allowance. Don't forget that a horse running over 1,000 meters in August receives 14 pounds. In January only receives 7 pounds. So he's expected to have made 7 pound improvement or 7 points improvement over that 6-month period. Often they don't. So while he's getting the 14 pound and the 13 pound in August and September, he's competitive. He suddenly, as it starts to diminish, he's not improving quite at that rate. Maybe later on he catches up and he gets somewhere close to the rating that the handicapper assessed him at. So that's the confusion for punters, is to try and understand that that scale is designed to allocate weight due to the immaturity of the horse, purely due to his immaturity. And for the punter to try and work out, very difficult, because as trainers we don't even know at what rate our horses are going to improve.